Anyway, so you guys want to look at how hard it was for the agency to get this put up. A lot of cities, I think, wouldn't take this. I don't know if the subways would take it. Probably not. But anyway, Outfront Media, which is one of the big players, took it and put it up in Houston Street. Once again, provocative creative requires public approval or city approval, so to speak. It also can really provoke social media. Even one location in the right place can provoke social media. Why? Because it's unavoidable. It's out there. You trip over it. Here's another campaign for which I have to thank one of my students in this class last year. This was for a dating site called OkCupid. And this ran New York subways, another, I would say, provocative in terms of the subject matter and the content. Of course, a lot of people, let's just say the target group understood the message. This is an example of, in the case of, you guys in this class and your age group, I would say you are probably the target group for this message and you understand it. A lot of older people probably did not understand it. But it's also an example of, this is called a brand train. I don't know if I mentioned this before. If I did, forgive me. But when I worked at Gannett Outdoors, head of business development for 10 years, we had the New York subway franchise for quite a few of those years. And we were getting lots of kind of crummy local ads, hemorrhoid removers and Dr. Zitz and, sort of gross things running in the subways. And so my team, the business development team, kind of brainstormed how could we get some better advertisers in here. And we came up with the idea of selling them a whole subway car, the inside, or half a subway car. And we called it the brand train. And actually, the first client we got was a new brand from Coca-Cola called Fruitopia, which didn't last very long. It was to compete with Snapple. And it's a hard sell, okay? And the reason it's a bit, at first it was a hard sell. It was a hard sell at first to Coke because, remember, this whole thing counts as one. And when you're sitting there looking at this whole thing one time, that's one impression. You don't get credit, in the media plan for more than one impression. But what you have here is depth of sale. This gets back to the whole issue of quality of impression with outdoor and out of home. Many of these signs are just one sign, right? Not a lot of depth of sale, right? Even though it's provocative and interesting, there's not a lot of persuasion going on there. This one wants you to go to a website to get your persuasion. To know what this is all about, you actually have to go to the website. But this one shows lots of different couples and different situations making their point about OkCupid and what they really hope to accomplish with OkCupid in terms of relationships. But there's a lot of depth of sale here. You can sit on your seat in the subway and look at this for a while. So this shows that not all out of home is just low depth of sale, that there are different formats that allow more depth of sale. One of the best uses of out of home that's provocative and fun is called the teaser campaign. And I wish that I had this in sequence, but I'm going to show you the whole thing all at once, but I think you'll get the idea. So this is a bulletin, right? It's a big one, 14 by 48 feet on a highway. I don't know what city it's in, but you can even see the highway signs in the background. It's at night. It's lit. One in the upper left-hand corner, that's the way the billboard looked for, I don't know how long, let's say a week or 2 weeks, okay? And then the local out-of-home company went back and put up another piece of creative, which is this. And it's like, what is this? There's no brand here. What's this all about? And then in another 2 weeks, they go back to the exact same location, the one that you pass every day in your commute, where you're wondering, what is this? What is this? And now I know what it is. And if it's Husker Red, I'm thinking it's Nebraska. It's Corn Huskers. I'm not sure. That's what I think it is. But it's a teaser campaign. This is a wonderful example of how to be provocative without a home, where there's no other medium I don't think you could really do this in, where the same location, the same geography, you can tell a story. Another way people have told stories in out of home, by the way, similarly, is not to do it in a time sequence, but to do it in a location sequence. So pretend you're driving, you see the upper left-hand corner, then in another half mile you see the next one, another half mile you see the final one. So you've achieved depth of sale here by using more than one image. Very interesting, good use of out-of-home. Just some more thinking about out-of-home. Out-of-home's on highways, right? It's on roads, and when the internet was first introduced, some people called it the information superhighway, believe it or not. This was, when it was first developed and came out, people thought of it as traveling and information traveling, okay, on highways. And so this is the first banner ad that ran. It ran in Wired magazine. Have you ever clicked your mouse right here? You will. Now, I would suggest to you that this is similar to a poster or an out-of-home ad. So it's almost as if banners on the information superhighway are a little bit like billboards on highways. They're uninvited. They have to grab you, challenge you, and get you to do something. Another point, and your book raises this too, out of home has had environmental issues, mainly because there was a time in the sort of development of out of home in the U.S. when people put up lots of signs all along scenic highways and all over the place. There wasn't really a lot of regulation, and people could put these signs up wherever they wanted. And there were a number of people who thought, well, you're just, making everything look like crap, frankly. All these damn signs, I'm on a road, beautiful highway and beautiful countryside. I've got all these signs. I mean, come on, leave me alone. Let me enjoy the scenery. And there was something called the Highway Beautification Act, which was passed with the support of Lyndon Johnson. He was the president of the United States in the 60s. His wife, Lady Bird Johnson, supported this, and it was to, get rid of a lot of these billboards that were all over our nation's highways and byways. And in fact, a lot of them went down, and the industry got smarter and didn't want to be in a bunch of highways, wanted to be more in cities and places where people lived and, traveled every day, not a sort of long distances. So the medium cleaned up its act a little bit, but it still had a kind of a bad connotation for the environment. And I'm just going to show you an example, and this is me being a little, hopefully it makes a few points. When I ran business development at the Gannett Outdoor Group, the leading outdoor company in the country, I knew that that one of the reasons maybe we weren't being as embraced as we could be by national advertisers was their concerns about environmental issues. So I wanted to try to take that on. I actually set up meetings with some environmental groups here in the New York area. I went up to see, in fact, the Nature Conservancy. If somebody I knew actually lived near me. I had a house at Lake George at the time, north of here in the Adirondacks. She was in charge of the Nature Conservancy for the Adirondacks. I went up to see her to say, can the out-of-home industry do something to support environmental causes? I mean, we can put up public service statements, not charge you anything, really, maybe just production, and put these things up and support environmental causes. And maybe this will help you and it will help us because, we're really not the biggest environmental issue people have to worry about. This was back in the 90s. And so she told me, her name was Peggy Olson, about something that was coming up in New York State to try to preserve more of the Adirondacks and keep it undeveloped. And I said, well, let me see if we can support it. And so the support I engendered didn't turn into very much. Okay, I'm going to show it to you in a minute. I basically got one out-of-home company in New York City to donate a bulletin to me. The bulletin is on the West Side Highway, right across from the Enterprise aircraft carrier. And he donated the space to me. His name was Bill Applebaum, brilliant guy, for a month. He posted it for free. He sent guys to put the posting up. We had an in-house creative director at Gannett Outdoor who did the creative to support this. It was called the Environmental Bond Act in the state of New York. And I paid for production. I paid a company to produce it out of my own pocket. And we put it up, and then I went and I had a picture taken of myself in front of the billboard to try to multiply it and send it out as a press release that, you know, the outdoor industry was supporting environmental causes. I'm going to show you the picture now. This is me at a much younger age. Yep, that's me. And it's right across from the Intrepid, not the Enterprise. Is that right? The Intrepid aircraft carrier. I always forget. Nice piece of creative shot of the Adirondacks, November 6th. It'll always be there for you. And we sent that out. I don't know how much. We got some pickup of the photograph to try to multiply it a little bit, you know, beyond just the people who drove by it on the West Side Highway, which was also a fair amount of people. And the only pickup I remember hearing about was that it ran in some local newspapers up in the area in the Adirondacks near Lake George, where, by the way, most of the residents, people who live in the Adirondacks, because there's a lot of private towns and private property interspersed with the public property in the Adirondacks, the people who live there did not like the Environmental Bond Act, okay, because they really felt that the state was telling them what to do with their property. So there was a lot of, I actually was told by someone I knew up there after that article came out and some people saw it up there that I was lucky they didn't go burn my house down. Anyway, the power of doing something provocative and out of home and then doing some press around it. But environmental issues, I think, aren't what as strongly, I mean, I think given everything else going on with the environment, this is a pretty small potatoes. But it has been an issue. I'm not going to go through. I've got a couple of links here that show more good out-of-home creative for you guys. I would encourage you to go ahead and click and look at a few on both of these. You'll see, particularly with the JCDecaux, you'll see a lot of one-off special effect stuff that gets a lot of publicity. It's the provocative kind of stuff. But anyway, it may open your mind a little bit. And the Obie Awards are the industry's annual creative awards, named after the Egyptian obelisk, because out of home goes back that far, evidently. So, well, you get show some nice creative. Future of out of home. Now we're going to talk about. We're winding down here, folks. This is a shot. Do you guys know what this movie's from? Okay, it's from Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner with Harrison Ford. And amazing glimpse of the future. Brilliant film, design-wise and pretty much every-wise. And this was a projection on a building of a video. And, of course, these things are happening. And let's stop now and pick up on the other side.